Arizona wide receivers ranked third to last in yards, dead last in outside wide receiver yards. They only completed 51% of their passes to outside wide receivers last year. That's an embarrassment.
We could sit down here and do like a whole redux of the Marvin Harrison Jr. profile, but long story short, it's good. He's my number one ranked prospect over the last 4 draft classes.
Look at the release.
There's your separation.
Great route.
Stutter and go. Gets by clean.
That is unbelievable.
Maybe the greatest catch I've ever seen.
We'll go back right up to the top. At 4th overall, Marvin Harrison goes 4th overall to the Cardinals. Again, just kind of taking a look at what they're looking at, right? They lose Hollywood Brown in the offseason, and this is a unit that, quite frankly, was not very good from a wide receiver perspective, right? Arizona wide receivers ranked third to last in yards, dead last in outside wide receiver yards, second to last in outside wide receiver completion percentage. They only completed 51% of their passes to outside wide receivers last year. That's an embarrassment. That's tough.
Yikes.
So now Marvin Harrison obviously walks right in, is the wide receiver 1.1 here for Arizona, gets to play with Kyler Murray. Talk about fit. I mean, obviously everyone loved it, but Kyler Murray playing with Marvin Harrison, your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I love it. Easy pick to make. I'm sure they entertained some trade down options.
Right.
But at the end of the day, like there wasn't a lot of movement in this draft, right?
Not in the first round anyways.
Yeah, not in the first round. Right. Definitely at the top of the second round. We'll talk about that on the next episode this week. But, you looked at Arizona's depth chart on paper going into the draft, and obviously it wasn't good. But there was so much potential with the amount of picks they had,
right?
Being there at the 4th overall selection, where you can just moonwalk right into taking Marvin Harrison Jr. And they also added Trey Benson later on in the draft. They added a second tight end in Tip Ryman, who I don't know anything about, but they did they added a second tight end in the 3rd round.
But that's to go along with Trey McBride, who everyone is predicting is going to have a huge breakout season.
I mean, shoot, he had that huge breakout season last year,
right?
Exactly.
So,
right,
correct.
But now you look at Arizona's offense, and with the fact in the back of your mind that Kyler Murray, I think, quietly did finish the season really strong. Had a 6-to-1 touchdown interception ratio, over 5 yards a carry in the final 3 games, over a 100 passer rating in those final 3 games. The Eagles game obviously is doing a lot of the heavy lifting there,
right.
But regardless, still finished the season on a strong note as a passer. You've got Kyler Murray at quarterback. You've got James Conner at running back with Trey Benson in the 3rd round.
Really nice.
Really nice pick there. I think that just makes all the sense in the world. And in the receiver room specifically, with the context that, yes, they do have Trey McBride, who I think is in the conversation to probably end up being the most productive tight end this year.
I agree with that.
Based on I can never get over, and I'm sure I've said this anecdote on the show before, but like the broadcast talking about, I think it was the Greg Olsen broadcast talking about Kyler Murray and the coaching staff both telling those guys in the pre-show meetings, like, yeah, we told Trey McBride to just start improvising on his routes like Travis Kelce, because they had that much faith in him as a player, and Kyler Murray had that much faith in him as like he knows how to beat zone coverage, stuff like that. So with the context that he's established there, you have Marvin Harrison Jr. at X receiver.
Yep.
You have Michael Wilson, who I really like what I saw out of Michael Wilson last year as a complimentary player.
Right.
I think he'd be a solid number 2. We could sit down here and do like a whole redux of the Marvin Harrison Jr. profile. But long story short, it's good. He's my number one ranked prospect over the last 4 draft classes. Elite press man beater as a pure X receiver. Really, again, doesn't have any weaknesses in his game. I do actually want to ask you a fantasy question here.
All right, let's go.
Marvin Harrison Jr.
Yeah.
Just pure, like, dynasty, easy. He's a top 10 receiver, and like he could be a tier 1 prospect. Yeah. My coveted tier 1 of dynasty.
Yes.
He could be a tier 1 prospect.
Okay.
In like 2 months of the season. Wouldn't shock me one bit. But like redraft, the best ball sickos drafting right now. I'm curious what you think is the appropriate ranking for Marvin Harrison.
Ranking around. Look, they're going to throw this ball probably around 500 times, right? So
I would say more than that. I mean, like they'll be pretty run heavy. They're a quality rushing offense. They were actually 7th in rushing EPA last year, which is why I'm probably going to draft way too much Trey Benson. But
well, trusting James Conner holding up, pal.
Shout out to James Conner, but yeah, no.
Yeah, no. But again, I just think with the defensive-minded head coach and Jonathan Gannon, I think 500 is about appropriate. I don't think they want. Look, if their defense improves, I don't think Jonathan Gannon would want to throw the ball 550 times. Right. So I think around 500 it sounds about right to me.
Right, but wanting to and accomplishing are two different things.
Correct. Correct.
Overall, though, I'm just looking this up right now on the fly. They did throw 555 times.
Yeah, but their defense was
terrible,
awful.
But again, for all that optimism I have about the offensive depth chart, you do look at the defense, and there's some guys here. They made some picks, they made some additions, but it's still probably not. I think of the two sides of the ball here, it's the weaker side.
Yeah. That's probably true. I was trying to think about like Arizona down the stretch because I thought Gannon, once he got his claws into them, you know what I mean?
Yeah, we're talking semantics here in terms of the amount of times they're going to throw the ball.
Doesn't matter. I think he's walking into what? What do you think? Like a 25% target share on Marvin Harrison? Right? Easy, right?
25.
Easy. And if he's as crazy good and as crazy productive as we think, I mean, again, I think 8 to 10 touchdowns absolutely on the table. Easy 1,200 yards. Golly, that's a ton, right? Like, what are we talking about here with 25% target share?
Yeah, 138.7 targets.
Oh my
Quick
God.
little back of the.
So let's go. Let's go a little bit more. So like we'll just go 130 targets, right? For Marvin Harrison, 130. So this guy's just walking into 130. That, by the way, that's on the low end, right?
Yeah, I think so. Like that's the thing. I think we're talking about maybe. I want to say the floor situation because like
it's slightly higher than the floor,
yeah,
but like
it's like sort of
it's a conservative
range. Yeah, we're being pretty conservative.
Yeah, it's a conservative
here.
Look.
So let's just go down the list here. I think.
Okay.
Look, number 1. CeeDee Lamb, Jamar Chase, Tyreek Hill, Justin Jefferson, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Puka Nacua, A.J. Brown. I think that's like those guys comfortably ahead of Marvin.
Yeah.
But that's 7 guys.
Okay.
Garrett Wilson. Probably ahead. Right, but see,
that's the conversation we're having.
That's wide receiver 8, and now we're starting to think about it. Yeah. Garrett Wilson's my wide receiver 8, like Brandon Ayuk's wide receiver 9. Chris Olave, Mike Evans, Deebo Samuel. Then that's where I did, took the plunge on Marvin Harrison Jr. But
I would have him above Deebo.
Right, I was gonna say you can't tell me like that your surprise level would be very high if he's more productive than any of those guys.
No, I mean I love Garrett Wilson, and I think he's if Aaron Rodgers can hold up, let's just say he holds up for 12 games even.
Yeah,
could be a huge blow up year for Garrett Wilson.
Totally.
So that's the only reason why I'm a little bit hesitant with Garrett Wilson. But from a fantasy perspective, I think top 8 sounds about right. That sounds about right.
I think so too. I'm again conservatively having him ranked lower than those guys right now. But that's talk to me at like here.
I think
in terms of the beer. Talk to me for the podcast listeners, and maybe my opinions change.
Right, exactly. I think an easy 80 catches, an easy 1,100 to 1,200 yards, and easy 8 to 10 touchdowns.
Yeah, it's just look. I get it. There's going to be some temptation to want to pump the brakes here because he's a rookie receiver. You've never seen him play it down in the NFL. I totally understand all that.
Don't buy any of that. Okay.
But even if you believe that somewhere in your heart, somewhere in there, like that there should be some level of, let's pump the brakes a little. He is a rookie. There's just so many good receivers in the league. I get it. I'm just advising you not to go like, and not you. I know not you, but the general listeners out there.
You know what I'm going to do.
I know what you're going to do. But the general people out there. Don't go hard in the paint advising the optimism because there's a chance like 2 games into the season, you are throwing that take right in the trash because he's just that good.
Yeah.
He is that. And
exactly.
the thing is like, he's not it's not even like Jamar Chase, who was my previously highest ranked prospect.
Right.
I did, because Burrow was coming off an injury. We actually hadn't seen Jamar Chase play football in a whole calendar year.
And then the preseason was bad.
Right? So there was reason to be like,
competition for targets too.
Competition for targets. Like, okay, let's again be a little cautious here.
Right.
But again, like what, 2 weeks into the season?
Yeah, we're like, okay.
Yeah, forget it.
Yeah.
Forget it. He's that guy. And Chase is not even, he was a great player, great prospect.
Yeah.
He's not nearly as like, completely squeaky clean, polished like a Marvin Harrison Jr. is. So again, don't even bother with it, even if you believe it in your heart of hearts. Just accept Marvin Harrison Jr. as a top 15 wide receiver, bare minimum.